Yeah, so welcome everyone to Startup Grind, and thank you for joining us tonight and for being with us. And we like to start off to find out a little bit where you come from as our guest, as in way back. Are you from Switzerland? Yes, you have the microphone, so you can start first. Where were you born?
I was born in Russia, but I'm living in Switzerland since 13 years. I'm also Swiss now. I'm also French, so it's kind of citizen of the world, I would say, rather.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm originally from Italy. I moved here 7 years ago to do my master thesis, and then suddenly I stayed for 7 years more. So it was supposed to be a 7-month stay.
All right. And how did you get interested in entrepreneurships and startups? Was that something that when you were young was already an interest or a spark in you, or is that something that came further down?
So for me, it really came further down. So my story is the typical story of the ETH spin-off. That is, I was doing my PhD studies at the ETH Zurich, and therefore I developed a technology and then saw a big potential in it and decided to start a company and commercialize this technology. So it wasn't really a dream to become an entrepreneur. I feel very comfortable in it, I have to say. But it really came along the way when I saw the potential and I saw how things could be working and could be solved.
Well, my story is from banker to entrepreneur. And it started 1.5 years ago. When I did my studies at the University of Zurich, it was a financial crisis 2008 that came. And I was thinking at that time, okay, what am I studying? Finance. Everyone is now blaming it. So I was searching how we can do something good with finance. And when I finished my studies, I was working also at various financial institutions, banks. Last employee was Safra Sarasin Bank, which is the most sustainable Swiss private bank. However, after 3 years, they were not really into impact investing space. For those who don't know what is impact investing, it's investment which creates positive social and environmental return beside financial return. So basically when you invest, you solve some social and environmental problems and create some profit. And I really wanted to develop this topic because it's amazing. I see it like it can really help to change something in the world, and especially in our financial system. So I didn't have really much choice because the bank didn't want it to do what I saw as an urge. So I started actually my first workshop on impact investing exactly here 1.5 years ago at Impact Hub. And my vision seemed to be right. And after a couple of workshops, I said, okay, I think you must do something. And I left the bank and now entrepreneur.
Cool. So we as you know, we had a change in our speakers and lineup, and so we have on the one side we have Michela who's running a startup, and Svetlana who's from the investment side. So it's an interesting mix, interesting. I mean, it's both sides of the coin. You need startups and you need investors, and it's interesting, I think.
But we are actually startup. We are not investing.
Okay.
But we are providing accessible education on impact investing, creating innovative impact investing platform, and trying to unite the whole ecosystem. So everyone knows what is impact investing, that there are accessible products in impact investing. So even retail investors like you and me with 100 francs could invest and do something good with that.
So you're not coming from the VC, the investor, the angel?
I know investors because I was working with ultra high net worth individuals and high net worth individuals. So we are also connecting investors and startups in impact investing space.
Okay. But your focus is more on providing the knowledge and the connection as opposed to the investment.
Yeah, at the moment.
Okay. But do you have, so I guess for the crowd, for the community, do you have experience as well? So often when we have people who come from the investor background, there's always questions about how do I go about seeking investments? What are best practices? What are things to do, not to do? Is that also part of your profile or not so much?
Yes, definitely. I mean, we have different kind of seminars, also for professionals and for the ones who do not have financial background. So in my experience, anyone, independently of profession and budget, can create an impact and find investments which will suit to you. And also it's very important to know what are your values, right? So like aligning investment with values and themes which you're interested in. Is it education, environment, healthcare, gender equality, oceans in the plastic, whatever is on your heart, so you can invest accordingly.
And Michela, tell us what it is that you're working on.
So we are a little bit more exotic in the way we do it, but the problem we solve is actually a very common problem, and it is, for instance, that T-shirt you are wearing. Probably you couldn't tell from which farm the cotton that the T-shirt is made of is coming from, right? So today's supply chain are extremely complex, and therefore it's very difficult to access reliable information about products. But more and more consumers want to make sure that what they buy is genuine, that did not cost unethical human labor, or was produced in a very environmental and friendly way. So to ensure all of that, you have to be able to trace the product. And current solutions are not good at that because normally just the packaging is traced, for instance, using standard barcode, or now the big hype is blockchain, right? But blockchain are physically detached from the product. So the information travel really is physically separated from it. And that obviously makes it more vulnerable to fraud. So the way we do it is really to physically trace product by introducing markers inside the product. Some markers based on DNA. And these markers are actually physically sprayed on the product, like cotton, at the farm of origin. And then the cotton is processed, and every point down the supply chain, one can do a test and tell whether the cotton is genuine and where it comes from, and get all the information related to the origin and the sourcing of that product.
That's sounds, yeah, like you said, very exotic, very unique. How long have you been working on that? Is it already a solution that's on the market, or is it still in development?
Yeah, so I've been working on this since now 6 years, 3 years of PhD, and then so really research, more base development, and then the company, we co-founded it together with my business partner in 2016. So 3 years now the company is active, and we have some solutions in the market. Especially in the textile and mineral sourcing industry. So the example I brought, so tracing textile fiber from farm to store, and same we do with precious materials like gemstone, so trace the origin of the gemstone from the mine until the end customer. And this is on the market, and then we have other solution on development, obviously, because this could be applied potentially to any consumer good. Yeah, we are developing new solution and new product in different segments.
And have you noticed? So you have a co-founder, right?
Yeah.
And it's a he.
Yeah, so we are a mixed team, yes.
So the topic tonight a little bit is to understand a little bit some of the challenges and some of the lessons from, of being a female entrepreneur, being a woman in business, and have you noticed personally any differences in your communication with investors, with business partners, whether it's him talking or whether it's you talking? What have been some of the bigger challenges that you personally face as a woman in business?
Yeah, so for us, being a mixed co-founding team has always been a strength, meaning that I think you always hear is true, that actually mixed team are more creative, perform better, are more efficient, and I mean you bring two different way of thinking together, and that's always good. So for us, it's been always a strength, and I think in most cases has been always perceived as a strength. Also because we get very well along together, and I think that's perceived immediately. So in this sense, it's been always a plus. But of course, there were situations, there were episodes where there were eventually some individuals that, based on some prejudgment or stereotype, purely based on gender difference, there were a few occasions where I felt that it wasn't not taken seriously, and that was perceived by, I don't know, the gestures, like, I don't know, that maybe they could just look at him in that moment. And I mean, it doesn't happen often, luckily, at least. In my case, I think in most of the cases, I'm taken seriously, but there were some episodes, and I mean, it doesn't feel good, because in that moment, you perceive that wherever you're gonna say, wherever you're gonna do, you're just not taken seriously, and there's just no way that you can prove you are good or you are smart, and you can do as much as the guy can do it. So that's unfortunate, and it's not pleasant. Yeah.
And do you have any something that you've learned or something that you've realized? So any tips for how to handle a situation like that?
Well, at the beginning, I think I was getting pissed, and I think that was perceived. I mean, also my co-founder was like, come on, you shouldn't take it personal. But I mean, of course, you do take it personal, because it's actually very personal in that moment. But then I learned to just, I still get upset, but I try not to think about it, and to not even probably try much to, in that moment, change the mind of that person. I would rather do it in a different way, maybe proving with some facts, like tangible facts about product, about the company, like number, showing that I'm actually right, and maybe not in a different moment when I'm less emotional and I'm more capable of making the point. Yeah, that's what I've learned. So be more diplomatic and fact-based to fight these situations.
Okay. And Svetlana, what would you say about following your intuition when it comes to business? Are you more fact-based or gut-based?
Well, you need both, of course, but I'm quite intuition-driven and heart-driven, because and probably it was also kind of a struggle at the bank, that if someone is dishonestly treated, I am not quiet. So I step up and I say something. And actually the decision was also quite intuitive to leave the bank. I mean, it gave me some confidence after workshops that the people really need it, they like it. I need to go forward. But at the same time, I actually went to India for 2 weeks to become a yoga teacher in addition. And it was a long time my dream. I was doing yoga like 10 years. And I never had time with my job or money. Something was on the way. But then last year, I really said, okay, do what you wanted to do. And I went there even for 2 weeks. And when I came back, and the first day I went to the office, I had such a feeling like, what you guys are doing here? What I'm doing here? So it's like meaningless. And this is with Galileo, we are looking for this meaning and to give meaning to finance and bankers, because they are amazing people with a lot of skills which could be used to help many projects, right? And I really believe in exploring human greatest potential. So, and at the moment, many talents are just dying at financial institutions, and this is why we really need impact investing to become a new normal there.
When you, so shifting a bit again to the topic of impact investing, how would you identify that? So how would you clarify that for our audience today? What does it mean, or how would you qualify? Because a lot of people or a lot of companies think about, oh, we're an impact company because we donate some part of our profits to XYZ. But that doesn't really qualify as an impact company.
Yeah. So if you look at capital spectrum from traditional finance to charities, traditional finance are just care about profit. Charities, you donate money, you care about social environmental problems, but you generate no returns, right? Then we have also responsible investing, which was created when some people couldn't sleep at night, let's say, and they said, okay, let's exclude tobacco, gambling, porn industry out of scope of our investments. Then some other guys said, okay, maybe we could do something more. And then sustainable investing came into play. So big corporations started to reduce waste, look for gender equality. They also maybe reduce CO2 emissions and some other topics, right? But still, at the core of their business is profit making. So nowadays, you see Nestle, Apple, big names, blue chips are in the scope of sustainable investing. So they create impact, but it's rather broad. Impact investing goes next step further, and it's deep impact, because when you invest in impact companies, they generate deeper impact, they change systems, they disrupt the market. It's the core of their business is really to solve a problem. Like social development goals, which were created by United Nations, 17 ones, you know this, who of you doesn't know what is SDG 17? Okay, everybody knows, so like education, healthcare, environment, all those topics are basically themes of impact investing. It's really interconnected. So by investing with impact, it's solving those problems. I hope it's clear.
Yeah, I think so. By the way, if anyone has any questions along the way, just raise your hand and feel free to jump in. Since you still have the mic, what do you see as perhaps an unexpected advantage of being a woman in business?
I also was facing some challenges as you, not taking seriously, because I look quite young. I am originally from Russia, so, and it took some time to like really show with our activities that we do great things and people like our events and seminars. Say again your question, sorry.
The advantage of being a woman.
Advantage, yeah,
in
exactly.
Business, in the business world.
But recently, I kind of get more and more requests that, oh, it's great, you're a woman, we need women in startups. And so suddenly it's kind of advantage being a woman sometimes. And yeah, I think the world is changing. I see some changes also in gender equality initiatives. We just need to continue being on this path. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what she says, that I mean, in some situation, like you say you're sitting in a room and there are only male white hair individuals, and that can be, I mean, a disadvantage. You can sometimes feel even uncomfortable. I think you feel a difference if you're in a room of that kind, if you're in a room where there is a mixed gender situation. But let's say you can be in that room and again, you can be taken not seriously, or they can try to play you down, but there are also situations where they actually behave different, and they actually appreciate you because you're in that position. Like, they perceive the extra effort, the extra work, and sort of strength that brought you there. And in that case, it can also be an advantage to be like a young lady that has a company that has already proven to achieve what she promised. So in that sense, you can also make a difference. You can be perceived as unique and as a positive example.
May I add something? Just a few days ago, we co-organized an event. It was for impact investing companies which invest in India. And a shareholder said to me that actually now he realizes that having a woman in the top position and working with them is giving so much advantages, and they are much more disciplined. Yeah, so he really named many positive things about women, and it was really honest statement. And I think maybe just men didn't experience that way, so they need to get more into top positions, women, right?
And speaking of top positions, what do you think, or what do women do differently when they're in a position of power?
I think it's just from the nature of women. We have more soft skills, and we really probably stick more to our values. We have to look for the family, kids, and so we are thinking in long term. And even maybe something is not paying much profit in the short term, but we see it like it must be done because of certain factors which will be beneficial for the community as well. And this is how I think we put these valuable inputs inside of also very great skills of men's. Maybe qualitative skills, I think men's are in general better. So yeah, this is how we can contribute.
Yeah, I think for sure, like the way we follow our gut feeling is maybe different. So as you said it, so also soft skill on one side, but also maybe the caring, like being more caring, being less. I think also in some case less hierarchical. So I mean that it's the good thing, but I want to say also something not nice that I've seen. So in women, like top managers that are women that rule, I think they tend to help less women that are like rising star or like entrepreneurs that are willing to achieve and do the same that they have been doing. And I don't think that that's something that is done intentionally, but maybe it's the result of the long way that they have to go and the tough way that they have to go through to get there. So in that sense, maybe get more productive and less willing to share and support. And this is something that I noticed, and I felt like a bit sad about it, because I think that we should, as we are like a minority in business, I mean, as entrepreneurial, like a startup ecosystem, or also in top management position, as we are a minority, we should support each other. And therefore, I think, there should be, like, they should make an effort in understanding the reason why behave that way, and rather remember of the difficulties they went through, and avoid this repeats again. Mm-hmm. So that's my thinking.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think it's encouraging on the one hand, the first part for those who are pursuing their entrepreneurial dreams, to really trust your gut, like you said. It is a true value in being a woman in business, not trying to be a man as a woman, But it's something I think that is often a trap that's easy to fall into is to think that as a woman you have to try to be more like men. But no, be a woman, and because the business world needs women, and then for the women who are achieving a certain level to remember your fellow female founders and be the support that they need and the encouragement that they need.
But I think, it's not just that they should do it actively, but also that the environment should encourage that, and encourage that mean promoting more women in that position, because then, it's a loop, right? So you end up probably in that behavior because of the situation, and then if you avoid that situation, probably the behavior will change as well. So also encourage more female leadership, and in a way that there will be more female leaders that then will be advising and supporting the future leaders. So I don't know in your case, but like in our case, we were lucky to have many advisors and supporters, and unfortunately it didn't come along in our way to have a women advisor, women supporter. And I would love to have that actually, to have also that counterpart of the...
Well, in my case, I always had chefs as men. I never had a woman. So I can say that it's very important that the women are supportive, right? And I was really happy to get one person to Galileo, our association, which is a young woman, 24 years old. And she reminded me myself 5 years ago when I was trying to get into impact investing desperately. And I wrote such motivation letters and applied, but it was always no. And then when I saw her email, it was like, oh, like me, let's get a meeting together. So, and now she's helping me. Fantastic. Fantastic.
Nice. Yeah. And speaking of female characteristics, and what are some female characteristics that you think would be helpful for your male colleagues and male counterparts to adopt?
You want to start? I need to think.
I to be honest, don't really like to list male and female characteristics, because in the end, I think it really depends on that specific human being. What are your behaviors and what are your skills? So I really don't like to do that differentiation of skills based on gender, because I think actually encourage gender inequality. So, and you really, the risk is really to fall in the stereotypes. So I wouldn't.
But that's I don't think you could give a better answer than that. That's
yeah, so that's my answer.
No, you set a good precedent and to build on top of it.
I felt like I didn't really want to answer. I don't know what to answer.
But it's true. It's true. I mean, that's sometimes a challenge in talking about diversity and in wanting to understand or how to help, how to make a difference. On the one hand, it's sad that we have to put an emphasis, we have to bring this topic up, that you have to make it an issue. On the other hand, the reality is that we do need to bring more awareness to it. So it's that delicate balance of how do you bring awareness without it sounding like a negative. It's something, yeah. But I really like your answer. It's not about gender. It's about character. It's about human qualities, and being the right. And that's part of Startup Grind's values, is to make friends, not business contacts. And if we were more friendly in our business dealings, you'd probably go a lot longer, whether you're independent of whether you're male or female. So work-life balance. Do you still do yoga?
Do you want to?
Have you been able to do more yoga, Svetlana?
Yes, definitely. So as a teacher, I also teach regularly.
Okay.
Once per week, and give private lessons. And I do yoga myself, of course, almost every day. And I think my plan is actually once Galileo is stable, I don't know, in 2, 3, 5 years, to shift the balance. So giving more yoga and less business. Another idea that I have is to combine, so organize seminars for yoga and impact investing together, because it's about consciousness shift, right? Once people realize that we are united with nature, with other humans, it's just natural for them to engage with a capital in the same way, right? To help others and save our planet. So yes, yoga is advice to everyone.
So do you think you have a good work-life balance? It's always a challenge for entrepreneurs. You know, it's something you're passionate about, and so yeah, it's hard for you to turn off at night. It's hard to turn off on the weekend. It's hard to turn off on the holiday. You just want to dedicate 110% to that.
Yeah, actually, now it became really not an issue, but a topic. So I need to force myself to not to do anything one day, like really don't do anything, go for a walk, but because I have so much ideas and so much that I need to do to come forward and to share with everyone impact investing, it's just like sometimes restless, but it's not good. I mean, I know that you need to find this balance in order to, for long term, again, being more present and making more.
Yeah, so I started yoga about 1 year ago, and I was at the beginning very reluctant towards yoga because, I mean, I'm very sportive, so I do a lot of sport of any kind, but I always thought, especially I'm a runner, but I also enjoy biking, and last year I got into triathlon. So like always a lot of like power and energetic things, and yoga for me was always like, come on, I have 1 hour, I'd rather do for a proper run. That was my thinking. But I discovered yoga, and I have to say it really helped in like really find a little bit more balance and peace of mind. But yeah, I also need the other part. So I really need the energy release part. So if I'm really stressed, I just need to get out of the office and run. And that's what I try to do, like as a preventive measure. So instead of running when it's too late, I try to do sport pretty much every day. So for that I always find time. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, of course, I mean, I work long hours. I answer email any moment of the day, anywhere. But I will also learn to switch off, like when it's really like time to stop working. I learn to switch off. When I'm on holiday, I learn to switch off. And I learn how to like understand when I've reached the limit. So when it's too much, now I can say, no, I take a few days and just go. So. Took a while, but I think by now I reached quite a good balance.
Can I add something? So this is a very good point, because jogging is dynamic exercise and yoga is more static. So you need both. For the health, it's really static and dynamic. And another thing is that I also needed to learn to say no, because once you're engaged in the topics that everyone is interested, the people want to meet you for lunch, for coffee, whatever, and it was difficult to say no to some people because I really like to share. But at the moment, it's like, okay, I need to do my business plan. I cannot meet all of you and come to my seminar now. So really, it's also learning to say no, because you need to prioritize certain things for business and for your beloved ones as well.
Right, that's true. And what are some topics that keep you up at night?
Well, impact investing, even if it sounds boring. I mean, actually, I had a dream couple of days before, because we also want to engage NGOs big names like Helvetas, WWF. They have so many donation-based memberships, right? But if you would explain them that you could invest actually in the companies, do something good, and generate return, I'm sure they would do that. So in my dream, I was discussing and like giving a pitch about impact investing, how we could do that with NGO, and yeah. And another thing I really'd like to, we're also talking with government, Swiss government, because we need government to be involved to support this and financial system. And so the government is quite involved, but it needs more action, more like speed and dynamics into it. And so making Switzerland impact investing hub for the world is something what we also like having as a vision. Bank secrecy is over. So this could be really in addition, you know, so being impact investing hub for the whole world. And Switzerland has everything for that. We have money, we have minds, we have brilliant people here and investors, so everything, economic situation. Yeah, so why not? We just need people to realize it's important. And it's not easy because in Switzerland, it's so nice, people are comfortable, you know, they go for weekends there. They don't really feel it, maybe, the urgency, but they could really do it. Yeah. What keeps you awake?
What keeps me awake? I mean, you still have your vision there, so I'm doing everything you can to get there. So I mean, what can be different, what keeps me up on a specific day, but the general tendency is to think about we could improve things, we could move forward faster, better. So, and I also tend to be never happy about the current stage. So always to want more and to, the desire to advance in a quick and efficient way. So that's general. And then there are specific problems, like at the moment we are relocating and it's being a nightmare. And one day is the ventilation system, the other day is the floor, the other day is, so that's variable.
Mm-hmm. Any questions from you guys? Not yet. All right. What do you see as some pros and cons to doing, as a woman, doing business in Switzerland? Have you noticed any other ecosystems that are doing it better, or is there some pros in Switzerland for being a female founder?
So I only been entrepreneur here, so I don't have direct experience. But I mean, I've heard everywhere that anyway, male founder have an advantage for a number of reasons, being that the VC networks are male clubs, being that the stereotype of the successful entrepreneur is male. So for all of these reasons, anyway, being a male founder, it's easier. I guess here, as in, US, it's no different. In Europe in general, I think the statistics are pretty much the same everywhere, that only, I think in Europe is roughly 10% of the VC funding go to co-funding team with a female co-founder. Okay. And the statistic when the co-funding team is only purely female is even lower. So this is a reality, and therefore, here the situation is the same in that sense. So right. Getting funding is probably one of the challenge. And then what we discussed before,
So I would say rather Switzerland has a lot of advantages, because so I also have obviously connections to Russia, and if you compare, it's really extreme. Becoming entrepreneur in Russia, it's much more difficult than here. you have the ecosystem established, you have so many accelerators, incubators, legally you are safe, and this is a big thing, because once you have your company and it's getting success, is it still possible to keep it as your company, or suddenly government or some other guys will come and say, hey, shall we share, or whatever, you know? So I mean, and it's not only Russia, it's some other countries as well, right? So from this point of view, I find Switzerland safe, supportive, and it's possible really to make this step. And government is also providing a lot of funds for startups, and yeah, I see it rather as a happy coincidence for me being here. Yeah.
And is there anything specific, any specific opportunities or focuses that you're aware of in Switzerland that promote diversity or that support specifically female entrepreneurs?
I have a friend who Karina Storingard, Genderlands.
Yeah.
So she also a female entrepreneur, and she established her company, and they could create several investment opportunities like indexes with banks, specifically focused on gender equality. And she was very well supported by many institutions. So I think, this is a good example that it's really supported in Switzerland.
Okay.
So at least my comment, I don't know if I got your question right, but I was saying if being a female. Oh, sorry. So my answer was to the question if being a female entrepreneur in Switzerland is an advantage, has advantages or disadvantages. But in general, being an entrepreneur without comparison between male and female, Switzerland is a good place to be, especially in the early stage. Because there are a lot of initiatives, a lot of also non-dilutive funding that goes to early stage startups. And what I heard, and we haven't got there yet, but that in the later stage, so for Series A, Series B funding, then Switzerland is not the best place. But at this stage, I mean, we were supported by many different initiatives, even foundations. We could raise about 2 million equity free, which I guess it's pretty unique. I mean, back in Italy, I couldn't have done any of that. So Switzerland per se is a great place to start a company, absolutely. My comment was just, again, if you want to compare one or the other, male or female.
And how big is your team now?
Now we are 7. One is here.
And and how big is your team?
4 people, 2 are in Russia and 2 in Switzerland.
Okay, so part of entrepreneurship, of having a company, is hiring people. What have been your experiences so far when it comes to hiring? It's easy when you have your co-founder and your friends and you're building this dream together, and then you have to find someone either who is just as excited about your dream or who is willing to get paid to do a job for you. So and then there's that difference between you who is passionate and you're 24/7 pouring into that, and someone who's doing a really good job, but it's not always easy to find good employees, and that's a big challenge, especially in the beginning of hiring people and finding the right fit, the right culture. What have you learned so far when it comes to hiring people?
So we have 2 co-founders in Russia, and one of them joined us also like a friend. He is himself impact investor, and he was just inspired by the idea to make it known in Russia as well. And he has IT background, so he supports us with that. So the Karina, who is in Switzerland, she was inspired by Galileo idea. She just said, oh, it's really what I wanted to do, and la la la. So, and then some other people which I consider to hire. At the moment, it's really, if someone believes in our mission and values, then we are happy to hire or like create a way how we can probably engage 1-2 days per week. But we are not yet hiring at such full time because of finance, of course. So at the moment, I didn't face any difficulties, to be honest. So the people are rather coming to us and asking how we can engage and help you.
Yes, so for sure, I think it's the most difficult thing. And I think what we learn is to follow, your gut feeling. As obvious as it might sound, but we had very often the situation where there were candidates and maybe one was perfectly matching from a technical or a specific professional background, but was not a good personality fit, and the opposite. So very good personality fit, but not really the profile we were looking for. And so once we didn't follow the gut feeling about the personality and didn't really work very well, and we learned that we should never do that again, because especially in such a small team, if you don't get along, it's difficult to work. And if not everyone is aligned and have the same spirit, even the same humor, really the same approach to life, or the same, I don't say hobbies, but the same energy. So this is really important. So we learn to really look at the personality first and follow the gut feeling in that sense. And I think it's been working lately, so I think now the team is great. We are very happy. And sometime, now we just hired a business developer, and we had 270 applications, and it was a nightmare to go through all of that. And we don't have an HR department, so you're just reading a million of CVs, and sometimes it's difficult. So what we have also been doing is always go through our personal network, because sometimes a CV, when you have so many, you don't know where to start, especially if you are not a professional in that. So we very often have been going through personal networks, so someone that knew someone. And with Emma was the same. So in her case, she didn't even apply. I went to where I offered her the job she was looking for. She was just graduated. She finished her PhD and was looking for something, or at least I thought, and I knew her through a common friend, and I liked her, so I thought it was a good fit, and indeed it was the case, and everyone liked her too.
That's great. Cool. And what would you say to a young you, to 15 years ago?
15.
I don't know.
You're not that old,
Yeah. No, when you were in middle school, for example, and thinking about what career you're going to have, or a little bit older when you had your first job and you were thinking about, or when you started studying, what would you say to a younger you?
To a younger 15-year-old me, I didn't have a clue about anything, probably. I think I never had clear what I wanted to do, always. When I was elementary school, I didn't know what to do in high school, classical study or maths, and when I was in high school, I didn't know, what should I study at university. I never had a clue, I never had a clear plan. And I would just tell to myself, chill, because things will naturally unfold and you will find your way. And now I know that it's like that, so I know that sometimes even when it's not clear, it's going to come. That moment when suddenly, okay, I know what to do is going to come, so.
So to very young me, I think, similar. I was very good at school at every subject. I didn't know what to do, but important thing is not to cry for men's. So because because you never know who you are going to meet afterwards, and it's maybe even great opportunity. It's not really the topic of our discussion, I know.
Well,
but I think
life-
everyone
life
faces
balance.
that.
Yes.
Um,
It can be a big distraction, so yes, it's important.
It's a big distraction when you
Yes.
are in this. It's really, you could do so much more things, and once, yeah. Anyway, so be curious. And I actually would advise me to learn not just finance, but something more what I would do, like environmental engineering or something what I really could construct with my hands. So doing something more tangible would be advice to myself, not just pure finance. Yeah.
And how do you deal with failure?
With failure.
Or you don't fail?
Of course I do. Yeah. Of course you fail. Well, I see it. If you learn something out of it, it's great. I mean, it's opportunity. And who says can say it's failure or not? You define your success yourself. And actually, normally our vision of success, it's not even our vision, because we live in our society who says, okay, this, if you have a car, family, and business, then you are successful. But no, you must define your own success and your own happiness, right? So for me, success is something else. If I can inspire people and help some other people be more happy, then it's my success. Then I can sleep at night and feel in peace and joyful. Yeah.
Well, when I perceive that I failed, then it's actually clear because it's there under the eye of everyone. Well, I feel bad, I guess, and I go for a run, and then I try to think about what I could have done better so that this wouldn't verify again. I mean, I think that's how you move on. I mean, when you are an entrepreneur, it happens quite often that you realize that I've done things not how they should have been done, especially if you do it the way we do it. Like, we started without having any business experience. So, of course, I mean, we did everything on our own, like did accounting, everything, sales, writing patents, like everything. And you don't know any of this. So, for sure, you do things wrong. But then, I mean, you know that if you want to succeed being an entrepreneur, you can't give up at the first difficulty, nor waste energy in being fed up. I think this is the core. Like, you cannot really waste energy in being fed up or in crying. Because you have, no time for that. And if you want to achieve your goal, then you rather go back to work and figure out a way to fix it or do it better next time.
Right.
Also, to make a step back, because sometimes we are too much into what we want to and we think it's right. So I felt at establishing one partnership for Galileo, and I was really like, how it's possible, we can help them, they can help us, but somehow it didn't work out. And I was like trying this and that, and then I stepped back and then, okay, yeah. And we found a solution at the end. So you need to give some time and believe in the flow, or something like that.
Okay, yeah. We have a question from the audience.
Should I just yell it out?
Yeah, I'll repeat it if it's...
So first of all, I'd have to say you guys are extremely wise for just starting, or I don't know, I feel like it sounds like experienced entrepreneurs. And it sounds like you just started, so that's really brilliant. And so it's kind of a question / comment, because I think you both brought it up about the distinction between female entrepreneurs having advantage or disadvantage and not being taken seriously. And I think that there's this kind of frame for what an entrepreneur should look like. 22, out of school, and just doing certain thing, maybe white, looks like a Mark Zuckerberg or some version of that. And speaking very bluntly, I think everyone in the startup world feels similar to the issue of like, when, guys, if me, I don't have the right, MO, or the right style, or the right situation, or what is. that's definitely not what's happening here. So it's just the one distinction that says, like, you are representing females, but you also maybe might be representing strong entrepreneurs. And that's something that Switzerland doesn't really have a whole pile of, right? It's a very niche sort of space where people are really driven to build. And so when you're thinking, and I'm just making a comment, maybe more than a question, is when you're thinking about reaching down and helping out people, it's not just females that are struggling. It's the whole spectrum, right? It's the ones that don't look like the little robots that come out of Stanford. And I really appreciate that you guys are doing such an amazing job. So anyways, more of a compliment than a question, I guess.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So I'm fairly new to all of this, but one thing I've been wondering about the whole conversation is what is being done, or what do you guys, and I would include you as well, to boost the 10% of funding for female ventures? So do you know what's going on there?
Did you understand the question?
Not really. No? Yeah.
So you're saying, okay, so I mean, we're all here to talk also about females and entrepreneurship, right? And you said that only 10% of all the funding goes to any form of females within the entrepreneurship. So what do you think should be done, and what is done to change that and make the numbers go up? Because we all know that more females within those types of adventures makes better entrepreneurs, right? So.
Well, I think again, to the gentleman who made us compliment, it's first of all being entrepreneur, right? If female is the right entrepreneur, then the funding will go to this woman. And I've heard a lot also, like, for example, application for jobs or funding. They receive just much more application from men. So like 5 are women and 200 men. So just statistically, of course, it's more that the men will get. So empower, inspire, like such event. I think it's a very great thing what you guys are doing, and Switzerland is also on a very good path on that, like empowering women to make this step out. And funny thing is, or it's not funny, so women in finance, when you look at investments, women invest much better than men, statistically. They are more successful in investing, right, than men. But they don't dare. So sometimes the men at home think, okay, she's not capable, whatever. So they are not given opportunity on one side. On the other side, women think, oh, I'm maybe not capable. So it's both sides, like men must empower women, but women must also get the confidence themselves to make the step, to become entrepreneur or invest in any direction. Yeah.
Along that line, I think it was maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, someone here in Switzerland posted that they had also done a job advert and received something like 200 applications, and mostly from men, and most of the men who applied did not qualify for at least 60% of, but they applied.
Yeah, exactly. So
And
the men have this concept. They look at the job description and it's fine, I apply. But the woman say, oh, maybe I'm not good at that, I'm not good at that.
If I don't,
It's exactly for that,
so-
yeah.
So it's really about boosting confidence, right?
Also, yeah.
and just taking a chance. Whether you're confident or not, take a chance.
Take a chance. Because then you will regret that you didn't take this chance. And you don't know if you fail or not, but anyway, you learn something on the way. So it's growing as a person.
My just another side comment to that. My mentor told me something that's pretty interesting. Is like the worst thing that can happen is you're gonna feel shit. But
Yeah.
Augustine.
Just to follow up, the question was interesting. I have 2 daughters, and I would fight hard to give them encouragement to look at examples of people building they're not looking past the activities from the 1950s or the 1960s. And there's nothing wrong with going on a hike, but there's also the whole world of economics, and they just seem to divide the line where girls do something and guys do something else. So if women entrepreneurs are kind of stepping up and saying, yeah, there's 1%. Okay, fine. Then go take that 1% and go after the kids and get them excited and inspired. I think that would be a really interesting opportunity.
I mean, very important for any entrepreneur to start a company not because of making money or having more freedom or having no boss. No, there must be a mission, a purpose of a company at the first place. Then you can make it great and you will have all the advantages and disadvantages, but it must be mission driven, first of all. Then it will be success.
So back to your question, how do you improve the situation? I mean, for me, the most important is educating people of the problems and on the potential solutions. So education for sure first, and then all sort of incentives to women or initiatives that boost their presence in professional environment where normally they are not, or in position where normally they are not. So all of these to me help, and it help also in the sense of what you said, because I mean, how do you improve the self-confidence? I mean, sometimes you are not just not confident because of yourself, it's also because of what there is around you, right? So someone tells you continuously, you ugly, you ugly, you ugly, there is gonna be a day you're gonna believe you're ugly. So it's the same, like to boost your confidence, you also need the environment that gives you confidence. And in the very same way, if there is a company where there are 20 employees and 20 employees are male, and no women is going to apply there. That's clear. I mean, it's like somewhat not the situation you want to end up, probably. It's even a little bit uncomfortable, like would feel uncomfortable.
What's the male-female ratio in your company?
We are now three ladies and 4 guys.
Cool. Awesome.
So I think also all of these, like the environment needs to stimulate that kind of behavior. So for sure it has to come from yourself, like push yourself, but also the environment needs to stimulate. So these sort of initiatives help, and I was just now part of one of these initiatives promoted by the European Commission. Is the EU Prize for Women Innovator, which is awarded to entrepreneurs that are in Europe that have achieved particularly good results, and I mean it is a great initiative that gives, besides funding, great visibility to entrepreneurs that sometimes don't have the right visibility and don't have the right rewards. So these initiatives for sure help. And the other point, I mean, still, I think the women take on their shoulder a lot more of the responsibility and homework. So the work at home, so family. So in that sense, also you need support. So parental leave or all kind of support in that sense, that is not just the woman that has to take care of the kid, but that there is given the chance to the couple to share the responsibility.
So we are coming to the end of this part. Afterwards we still have some networking, so if you have any questions, will you be around still?
Sure, yeah.
So if you have any further questions, you can continue the conversation afterwards. We have some more drinks and stuff. We like to wrap up our traditional fireside chats with a series of rapid fire questions. They're a bit well, I thought they were simple, but most people say, what? Those are not simple.
No. Okay. All right.
But the idea is just, there is no right or wrong answers. It's just the first thing that comes to mind. And since we have, there's two of you, then we'll divide them.
How
So
do
you
we do?
answer one and she answers one and back and forth.
Okay, all right.
So since you have the mic, you get the first one. What's one item that you own that you would never sell? What is one thing that you own that you would not want to sell? Something very special to you? That's also fine if you don't have anything.
I mean, I sold my car. Which would it's like I'm quite detached from things.
That's good.
As yoga teacher, so I don't know.
Your yoga mat.
No,
And-
I also
and-
can't think about anything.
Okay. Michela, what's your most unusual skill?
Most unusual skill. Oh God. What is an unusual skill? I don't know.
I bet you could outrun anyone in here, though. Right?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. What's
This
What's-
is being
what's-
pretty disappointing for you.
what's more important, strength, speed, or stamina?
Speed.
Strength, speed, or stamina?
It depends on the context. I don't know.
Uh,
Do you-
you ladies are too complicated.
I said speed. I said speed.
And which historical figure? What's someone that you admire,
Historical figure.
past or present?
Present. Women.
Anyone? Who's someone that you admire?
So a current hero of mine is Natasha Bodeman. She's a triathlete. Actually, she was professionally doing triathlon. She was seventh time. She won the Ironman the away, and then in between she broke apart, and the doctors told her that she wouldn't have been able to do anything, even running again, and she was back to doing Ironman. So she's my hero. She's Swiss, by the way.
My hero is from India. It's Sadhguru. I don't know if you guys heard about that one. So he's it's said enlightened being, and he teaches not only yoga, but he engages with his foundation, like planting millions of trees, teaching kids, and really does a lot of impact in physical world, not only bring people to spiritual world, but also in physical world. So this is the one who I admire.
Okay. And what's your favorite season of the year?
Spring.
Summer.
When was the last time that you tried something new?
Today I'm trying something new, being here, having very spontaneous questions.
Do I have to answer as well?
If you like.
Yeah. Today, what did I do today? Today I tried a new vegan cheese, actually.
Roots of impact.
Yeah, the new
Yeah.
roots, the new version of the new roots coming back.
You should say to microphone, because there is vegan cheese, by the way, for those who cannot become vegan because of cheese from vegetarians. So it's called Root of Impact. It's really tasty.
Okay. Team or single founder?
Team or single founder.
Yes.
Team,
Team, yeah.
of course. What a
Cats or dogs?
Cats. And dogs. I like animals.
Dogs, but like I couldn't handle a dog, so like I could have a cat at home, but not a dog.
And
Like I don't manage.
The rapid fire questions are going
Yeah,
not so rapid. But that's fine.
no, and, I wanted to have a cat in Switzerland. Very simple thing. But in my apartment, I was not allowed to have one. And I got such email from the owner of the apartment that why cats are bad. And I was shocked, to be honest. So, anyway, cats and dogs.
Beer or wine?
Wine.
No alcohol. Coconut juice.
Your favorite app?
Favorite what?
The favorite app on your phone.
Favorite app? I don't like apps. Maybe Spotify music. Spotify.
I use too much WhatsApp, but it's not my favorite. So photos too,
Yeah.
kind of list.
What's one thing on your bucket list?
Become a scuba diver teacher.
Yeah.
When I sell the company, it's gonna happen.
Do another yoga teacher training. Yeah, to become
Next level.
Next level.
And
if you could have the attribute of an animal, what would that be? Or which animal would you like to be?
Elephant.
We said the opposite.
An elephant?
Elephant.
And a bird.
A hummingbird.
A hummingbird.
Specific one. I even have a tattoo of a hummingbird.
Nice.
You said about tattoo?
No.
No, just elephant. So elephant, because they are so amazing. Once I was riding on the neck of elephant, and and he was holding me with his ears while we were walking down, and it was like, wow, there's such
So do
connection.
you have an elephant tattoo?
No, I don't have tattoos. No tattoos. No.
Anyways, thank you so much for joining us tonight, especially on such short notice.